Xin Chao, what's up everybody? Alright, we're on Wind Way here on a Thursday. In this video we're going to talk about what's the true budget in Saigon in 2023 in pretty much April. Is it really $500 to $1,000? I don't think so. So as usual, we're just going to jump right into the topic and start talking about stuff. The first thing we're going to talk about is just the cost of housing. So we're going to go topic by topic. We're going to do clothing, food, partying, drinking, all that stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the housing situation. So depending on what kind of person you are and what kind of housing you want and where you want to live in the city. And I've lived in a lot of cities, and I think it's pretty integral and important at where you live in the city and what kind of things you like to do. If you're a homebody, of course you can live in a more rural or outer district and save a bunch of money. So the first thing we're going to talk about is living in the center of the metropolis, which is District 1. If you're not familiar with Saigon, you're looking to move here, District 1 is where all the action happens. It's where a lot of the most popular stuff is. It's where a lot of the most popular restaurants, the most popular bars, and the most popular clubs are. So if you don't want to commute far, you don't want to buy a motorbike, you want to be able to walk everywhere, you're going to kind of want to be in District 1. Now there's multiple areas you can live in District 1 at different prices. If you want a quiet, nice apartment where you're not going to hear your neighbors and things are going to be calm and cool, and you're going to have modern amenities such as a pool, a gym, a newly built apartment that's soundproof, you're going to be spending anywhere from a rent from $750 to, depending on how many bedrooms you need, all the way up to $2,000. $2,000 is going to be on the high end for like a 3-bedroom in a modern building like a Golden River or the Mark. There's a couple other apartment buildings in District 1, but those are really the two heavily focused ones where a lot of people tend to stay at. The housing segment has gone up about 20 to 30% in the past 6 months in Saigon in District 1. So that's going to be your first thing. If you're going to stay in an apartment like Golden River or the Mark, you're also going to have electricity on top of that. You're also going to have a management fee, which usually also includes parking, air conditioning separate from electricity usually at most places. You're going to pay anywhere from, depending on how much you use your aircon and how much the parking fee is, usually on a newer building it's $200K a month, which is roughly $8. You're going to have to look up the conversion rate for dong to USD if you don't know it. I'm giving you the numbers in dong. So it's going to be anywhere between 2 to 4 million, sometimes 5 million on the management fee with the aircon, depending on how frequently you use it. So that's going to be, that's going to put you at about $1,000 a month just for the apartment. And that's going to include electricity, because electricity is like $500 to $700K, and the internet, which can be as cheap as like $50K a month. So to round it out in whole, you're going to be really about $1,000 total at the bottom end for a nicer apartment in a desirable area. Now there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are like, I live here way cheaper. They're usually living in a Vietnamese building, and if you don't know what that means it's paper thin walls, usually inhabited largely by Vietnamese. It's not a Western style build. You're going to have noise. There's usually going to be chickens in the neighborhood. If not chickens, it's just going to be parties on the weekends, definitely some karaoke. There's going to be some slight annoyances with it. If you're an easy sleeper and you don't get disrupted a lot, this could be a benefit for you. If you go to like a District 2, you can get an apartment for like $500 to $600. And then maybe with the aircon, electricity, and all this stuff, it might add up to $800 total per month. So anyway you cut it, you're going to be probably somewhere between $600 to $1,000 on the lower to high end 1-bedroom in Saigon. Of course, you can get to like more rural districts, the more outside you go of District 1, the cheaper it's going to get. So you could get a apartment in like District 8 or District 10 or District 12 or District 6, probably for $500, maybe $350. And then some of that stuff's not going to have a management fee. The aircon's just going to be a part of the electricity. So of course, if you're willing to, you know, kind of live in less nicer conditions and ignore a lot of things, you can certainly get away with living cheaper. Most people that go that route get tired of it pretty quickly. They usually last about 6 months, and then they look for a Western style apartment because they just get tired of all the stuff. And then those apartments have no amenities. There's no gym, there's no barbecue area, there's no pool. There's nothing but just the apartment itself. Sometimes it won't even have parking on site, and you've got to go park your bike somewhere else. Which these things can all be a pretty big nuisance over time. So you just have to be mindful of that and what you're looking for. And then this boils down to, like, you could even go further out to like Duduk City, the Vin homes in District 9, like way out there, like, you know, 30, 40 minutes away, sometimes 50 minutes away on a bus, and get an apartment for like $250. But then your access to the middle of the city is pretty limited as far as time-wise, you know. 30, 40 minutes each way, that's 120 minutes total just to come down here. So, I mean, this all depends on you as a person. If you're someone that doesn't need to be in the center of town, you're maybe like a digital nomad that's like to themselves, or kind of an introvert, those places will work for you. You can also get a pretty affordable apartment in District 7, although those have kind of gone up in price too. Anywhere from 12 to 16 million for like a pretty decent apartment. You can look at my District 7 apartment hunt. It was a couple months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, and you can kind of get a feel for what they look like there and the price of them. So the housing can kind of be all over, but most people find that they want to be in District 1. My bet, if you want to live cheaper in District 1, go over by like the Ho Hao Han area, which is like 15 minutes from Bui Ving. Ho Hao Han. That street in that neighborhood, you can usually find an apartment for $500 to $650. That again is not going to have really any amenities or anything like this, but like I said, it'll get the job done if you're trying to save money. And then this also goes to, are you a walker? If you're a big walker and you're going to walk during the day and walk all over, District 1's going to be for you. And then of course we've got District 2, which is the expat district, which is pretty kind of secluded by itself. Most expats tend to live in an area called Bowden, and you can get an apartment there for 12 to, I think, all the way up to 25 million, depending on how many bedrooms it is. You're talking like a max of 1,200 USD for an apartment. Again, those are going to have a management fee, an electricity fee, etc. So you have to account that. Like a lot of guys that'll be like, I'm living this cheap, they're usually living in a 4 to 6 bedroom apartment building where it's got an on-site AC for each thing. There's no central air. So then their AC is tied into their electricity and how much they use it. When I had an apartment like that, my aircon was like 2 to 3.5 million a month. My electricity, I mean. It's like 100 to 150 bucks. You can get pretty high-speed internet here, depending on where you're at and what kind of building it is. Like a lot of the bigger buildings will farm out the contract to one internet company. So then you might be locked into kind of a not so good internet place where it gets pretty expensive to get pretty fast. You can get all the way up to a 1 gigabyte connection depending on where you're at. District 10 and District 7 are probably going to be the two most desirable places if you're looking to save money and live on a cheaper end. So that's kind of the housing broken down. Let's talk about the food. The food's going to be all over the place, you know. Vietnamese food is cheap. You can get a banh mi for like 25K, which is $1. You know, you can get a pho for like $1.50, $2. You know, a bun ba hue for $3. So I mean, if you eat Vietnamese food every day, all the time, and never venture off, your food cost could be $5 a day. Easily, like under $5 even, depending on how many meals you eat a day. You could also cook at home, which is what I do now, and that's going to be pretty affordable. That can also be like $5 to $10 a day. So like Very, very affordable. But I've seen a lot of videos and like shorts and stuff where, you know, you got guys running around, $500 will get you done in Vietnam, or even $1,000 in Saigon. Like, what kind of future are you setting up for yourself? Like, are you going to be investing your money? Are you going to do like an IRA or a Roth IRA, or invest into the stock market or a mutual fund, or put money into crypto? You know, you should be putting 20% of your monthly income into investments for retirement, whatever kind you like. You know, everybody's got their different things of what they like and don't like. So I've said this before in other videos like this. I want to do an update, but for me, if I'm coming here and I want to live a comfortable life and have amenities, because I like to use the pool, I like to have a gym on site, I don't like to travel a million places to go and get this stuff. I like to be able to just go downstairs, use the gym, go downstairs and go for a swim. I think your safe bet on the low end would be bringing in $1,500 a month. You know, and that includes investing. And then on the high end, $2,000. So then let's talk about the other segment. Your next segment is going to be, are you going to be drinking? I've significantly slowed down on drinking. In fact, right now I'm not drinking at all for the next few weeks. I've got some tours of nightlife, but I'll just kick back and drink like a Coke and stuff. But drinking's going to definitely, possibly even double the $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,500. You know, you could easily spend your first few months here $3,000 to $4,000 a month on going out and partying all the time, especially if you go to these lady bars. You can get in trouble real quick here, and you'll see a lot of people shit on them, but there's a reason why there's 120 of them here and they're making good money all the time, because guess what? Expats are going to them. You know, we've got the favorite Fatties, the greatest sports bar ever. Not. And then a bunch of other like lady bars around here. So depending on how much you're gonna party and not party, definitely can get, you know, pretty pricey here. And you know, this guide's gonna be close to the same as it would be in like a Bangkok. I think they're kind of similar on pricing. So partying can be, you know, anywhere from $250 a month, maybe even $150 if you're a really light drinker, all the way up to $2,000 a month, depending on how heavily you're going to drink, what kind of alcohol you're going to drink. If you're not going to just drink beer and have like mixed drinks, all these things vary and differ. And what kind of places are you going? Are you going to like a high-end club? Are you going to a bar? Like recently in the past year, high-end place to be bars are charging like $350, $400K for one Tiger. Like Kui Bar's crazy, but it's always packed because like it's a place where high value men and high value women are, so people always want to go there. There's a couple other places like that. These are all like lady bars here. There's none of the ladies out right now, so you just have to, you know, put that into consideration. The next thing we'll talk about is like, you know, clothing. And then if you're going to be eating Western food, before we get to clothing, Western food's going to be like pretty expensive. Count. I quit. Count. I don't smoke anymore. I quit. I don't know quit yet in Vietnamese. So like if you're going to be eating Western food all the time, if you're like tired of Vietnamese food, which it will happen. Anybody that's like, Vietnamese food's yummy, that's all you should eat. Why would you eat anything else? Is not lived here, or they're crazy. Like, when did you ever eat all American food every day back in America? I didn't. I was eating Thai food, I was eating Chinese food, Italian food. You're gonna want taste of different cuisine, and usually that's 50 to 100% more expensive than what a Vietnamese food would be. So you have to also budget that into the factor. I'm just gonna tell you, anybody that's saying you can easily live here on $1,000 a month, unless you're an extremely cheap person and you count every penny, that's pretty hard to do. Your more likely thing is going to be, you know, $1,200 to $2,000 depending on your lifestyle. And then clothing's pretty cheap. You can go to like Saigon Square and buy shirts, you know, for $100K, $4 to $200K, $8. You can go to H&M, and the H&M price is the same worldwide. So you can get a shirt there for like $16. you know, some shorts for $16. Same goes for women, like a dress at H&M. I think it's like, you know, 500K to 1 million or $8.99. Same with Uniqlo. I mean, you're talking like 15 to 25 bucks, 30 bucks for a dress. So it's pretty affordable on the clothing end too. They do have higher end clothing here. So I mean, budgeting here is pretty easy. If you're gonna be a dude that's single and younger and parties, you're definitely gonna get out of control your first 2 or 3 months. You're gonna get lost in the sauce. I did. Some people don't. Some people are good about it. I find that this is age dependent. Most of the dudes that are over 50 that move here don't get lost in the sauce. Some do, sure. But it's usually younger guys that are like 45 and younger that maybe haven't been partying that much from wherever they come from to moving here, that go a little bit wild and spend a lot of money. The next thing we'll talk about is transportation. So like, how much is transportation gonna cost? Again, this is all dependent on which district you're gonna live in. There's also apartments in District 3, but they're really expensive. You can get some Vietnamese ones that are pretty cheap, but like, they're a room with like one window, you know, no amenities. That stuff gets old quick. Unless you're never ever home, which could be viable for your first 6 months because you won't be. But let's talk about transportation. Grab is the #1 ride sharing application here. You can get a Grab bike for like 30K, so like $1 to $1.50 usually. A car will be $4 to $8. So not bad. If you are going to be like living in one of the outer districts, you're going to be taking Grab a lot to come here. So you could probably figure $10 a day for transportation, which is about normal to a lot of like Southeast Asia places. So let's go this way. So transportation, not that big a deal. If you're going to choose to buy a scooter and drive around in the traffic here, you know, you can get a scooter for as cheap as a POS, the old one, for 200, 300 bucks, all the way up to like a nice new one, all the way up to like 2,000. So that's just all on your budget and how much you're going to drive around on a scooter. I wouldn't recommend buying a scooter unless like you're really going to drive around all the time, or it's just going to be a poor investment that's just going to sit around at home all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Which is up to you. But if you're not going to be driving every day, I wouldn't buy a scooter. Although they're a pretty easy commodity to sell. So like, it's not a bad investment. Buying a new one, definitely not the best of ideas, because it's going to be a depreciating investment right away. You know, you're going to lose 40% as you drive off the dealership. Really only if you have a lot of capital extra would I buy new, and you know you're going to be here for a long time, like many years. Then you have to calculate banking. If you're going to be living on the tourist visa, you still can't open a checking account here, so you'll have to figure out a way to get a no fee credit card or a bank card. I'd recommend, if you're in Australia, to get a Fidelity, I think it is, they have there. Or there's another one in Australia that has 0 transaction fees for foreign. And then Charles Schwab in America, a couple other places too. I would just look into getting a no international fee checking account card. And that's gonna just bypass you having to worry about any of that stuff. Like there's no need to have an account here then. Now, if you are getting a job in a TRC and a work permit, you can open an account with that. So no big deal, and then you can do wire transfers like I do. So I just do wire transfers from my US account into my Vietnamese account. So not that big a deal. That's pretty much the complete guide. There's gonna be other miscellaneous things, like shoes are the same price as they are in America, if not a little bit more. Like a pair of Adidas is gonna cost you $120. Usually the biggest size they carry is like a 46. Sometimes they'll have a few different shoes in 47. So if you've got big feet like a size 13, I'd bring a bunch of shoes with you. It's gonna be difficult to find them here, like very difficult. I'm pretty good at finding them now. Usually Adidas will have a couple good designs in stock where I can get a shoe that fits me. So that works for me. And then as far as getting stuff from America to here, there's a service for that. I got a video on it. I can't remember the name of it, but you should be able to find it. So it is possible to get stuff shipped here. They are going to charge you a bit. I think something like around 300. It's like 50 to 90 bucks to send here. So you are going to pay a fee because they have customs and it goes by weight and all this other stuff. So I think that's a pretty comparable guide. Like, even with inflation at 5%, I don't find it to be a big deal. And it's not like drinks have been raised. Like, when you buy a water at Circle K, it's still $6K, which is nothing. Like, well under a dollar. Like 6K is like 50 cents or less. So I mean, the only things that slightly went up is maybe a ball of pho that was 30K is 35K now. I mean, whoop-de ding dong. So yeah, I think that's the video. I think that's a pretty dead nuts accurate guide. The last thing I can add into it is where you'll definitely want to budget for is if you're new to Vietnam, you're going to want to travel around Vietnam. And I would say each trip's going to cost you, depending on if you fly and stuff, anywhere from $300 to $500. So I mean, you probably want to calculate that into a budget. That's why I say 500 to 1,000 is next to impossible, unless you're just going to chill at home all the time, make food for yourself, or eat Vietnamese food all the time, and rarely drink and not do much. Very not possible. So I'm just giving you a realistic budget as a guy that's lived here for 4 years. So yeah, that's the video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment and please smash that like button. If you want to go on a private tour with me, sign up for the Patreon and then send me a direct message on there and we'll set you up. I've been booking a lot of tours. People are loving them. So if you want to meet me and hang out and go out and do stuff, holler at your boy on Patreon. Thank you guys for watching. Stay frosty. I hope you have a great day. See you on the next one. Peace out.